A company steps up and does a pretty altruistic thing. We'll talk about it. Welcome to My State of Mind. I am Dan York. This is Columbus Day, so you probably had a long day out on Federal Hill, or maybe you were doing a little, I don't know, apple picking on a beautiful fall day. I'm off today. I'm not here. I love it when that happens. But as you're well aware, if you are a chronic viewer, and if you're a brand new viewer, welcome. When we're off, there is no other Dan York. So we record programs in advance and spend some time talking about things that otherwise we probably wouldn't get to with the daily rundown that we do every evening and the smash and bash politics and stories of the day, which is kind of a benefit. You know, we get a chance to kind of meet some new people, tell some good stories, say some positive things about what's going on in the community and all of that. So, with no further ado, we will have a Your State of Mind opportunity for you, at least to know how to get in touch with our broadcast at the end. But other than that, the format kind of shifts around, and I've got some more quality time to talk to my guests. Having said that, take a look at this article. This was something that caught our attention, and it really speaks to what ought to speak to the heart of most Rhode Islanders, and that is the worry that victims of domestic violence have to deal with. This is about a company that has stepped up and said, you know what, we're going to help with that worry. And they are from Alliance Security, and they are one of the fastest growing companies, heck, in the world, the country, and certainly here in Rhode Island. And we welcome our guests who are the bosses of this company. Jay is over here, Jay Gotra, who's the CEO, and Brian Fabiano, who is the COO and the CMO. CMO?
Chief Marketing Officer.
Chief Marketing Officer. So there you have it, guys. Welcome. Thanks very much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
So once upon a time, you decided that you were going to step up for the Coalition Against Domestic Violence here in Rhode Island. Tell me the story. What happened? Gotcha.
We reached out to, we call him Rickadiv. It keeps it short instead of saying the whole thing, Rickadivi. So we reached out to Rickadivi, and we wanted to work with someone that really had the same sort of values.
Just make sure everybody got that, because
Sure.
I've never called them Rickadivi before. The Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence.
Yes.
If you put all those letters together, you get that acronym, Rickadivi. Next time I have Deb DeBear on the broadcast, I'll introduce her as the head of Rickadivi. Does she say it as Rickadivi?
We do in our meetings. We do.
All right, good. If Deb calls it Rickadivi, then you can call it Rickadivi. All right.
All right. So we.
Glad we established that.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry for the confusion.
No problem.
We reached out to them. We wanted to work with someone that shared the same values and the same vision as us, and we are in the business of keeping people safe. So it only made perfect sense to reach out and work with them. So we wanted to do more than a simple donation. We wanted to really affect them directly. So we came up with the Friends of Rickadiv, is what we call it, the Friends of Rickadiv program, which we protect people that have gone through their program, victims of domestic violence, when they, after they move on from the program and they need a peace of mind and home safety in their home. We provide them with a free home security system, the same system we provide to our customers. And we also take care of all of their monitoring and all the fees. So there's no out-of-pocket cost for them. And it gives them a little more security at home and a peace of mind.
Well, it seems fairly self-explanatory, but I'm guessing that there has to be a story behind the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why this is one of your choices of giving back to the community?
Yeah, well, you know, this is a subject that was very near and dear to me. It's something that, you know, I've seen growing up, you know, friends that have gone through this and things like that. And it's always been that, you know, people are always like, you know, it's not my problem. You know, why do I have to get involved, you know, or why are they talking about that? You know, it's like, you know, it's a personal problem that they have in their home. And it's something that people don't realize. But, you know, when you see somebody go through that and, you know, people that are scared to be in their own home, you know, because of the fact that, you know, they're afraid that the significant other may come or what they're going to do to their kids and things like that. It's something that, you know, when we notice that and we say, you know, our company culture, our vision is keeping homes and families safe. So what better thing to keep homes and families safe? And just because they can't afford a security system doesn't mean they shouldn't still have the same protection in their homes and in their families as well that other people can have the privilege of having. So, you know, when we were saying, hey, we want to be part of an organization that matters, we wanted to do something that has a perfect synergy with what we do instead of something that's just hey, you know, we're part of something, you know, that doesn't mean anything, you know. So seeing that protecting homes and families are what we do is what we wanted to do. Is we extended that and we wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, this domestic violence conversation. You know, I've been having it on the radio and on television for a long, long time because it's been in our culture for a long, long time. And here we are, three guys, you know, talking about domestic violence, which, by the way, it's not just man to woman. It can be woman to man, but let's not kid ourselves. It is predominantly a men beating up on women type of dynamic out there. It's had ebbs and flows in terms of societal recognition. Do we thank the NFL right now for what's going on there, for, you know, kind of a wake-up call? I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it's one of those things that not a lot of people talk about. It's kind of a hush-hush issue, and I think with what has happened in the NFL, it's certainly raising more awareness. And as horrible it is to say that that's happened and now people finally learn about it, it's definitely helping with educating people more about it. And I think it's one of those things that a lot of people turn their heads to. They don't want to ruffle the feathers or stir up any more problems.
It's also something people joke about, and you know, there aren't many wisecracks in the locker room, and I've got a few that I hang out in, or I'd be fatter. But my point is that, you know, you hear the jokes, you hear the locker room talk. It's the only place that I've never offered a social chuckle. I mean, and there's a social pressure, I think, amongst men, you know, the beat my wife type of, you know, type of joke. It ain't funny anymore, man. The whole, this thing is not funny. And when it stops being funny at the bars and it stops being funny in the locker room, then maybe we've made some progress. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, you made the comment that there's these three guys sitting here talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest initiatives as Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence that we're making is I'm part of the 10 Men program that we're part of, and basically what it is it's an initiative to get younger men to be a part of this program, so those locker room jokes stop happening, and, you know, people that are being hurt and other men saying, well, you know, he's dealing with his wife, and let that be between them two. You know, be something that we bring to light and say, hey guys, it's not okay. You know, it's not a fun thing to talk about.
It isn't. It's kind of a good conversation to have amongst men, though, because we'll talk about this when we come back. I want to highlight what Alliance is actually doing and talk a little bit about their story specifically, but there are some societal things that I see on an everyday basis that alarm me when it comes to our lack of recognition of the importance of being focused on violence within relationships. Stay with us. Alliance Security doing its business out there. They've done a very nice thing, and that is not only to provide a donation to the folks at the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, which is, Brian, what did you call that? What's the?
Rickadivy.
Rickadivy. I mean,
Yes.
I've never, Rickadivy. That's an acronym for that very important organization that everyone should know about. But they've also stepped up and said, you know what, we're going to provide an alarm system for victims of domestic abuse and take care of the monitoring. Like, we'll talk more about their company and their decisions to make that investment as we go. But since it's just, you know, three guys shooting the breeze here about something that most women would say, what do you know about it? One of the things that I've noticed, just go through the malls on any particular day and see how boys and girls are reacting to each other. It seems to me that it's getting more physical, not less physical. That there's kind of this nonchalance of, hey, you know, that kind of thing that goes on. And actually, girls are getting more, they're getting more equitized, you know, in this whole thing. Do you guys have kids yet? You just got married.
Yes, I just got married.
Yeah. Are you in that game?
I have a 16-year-old, yes.
Okay, daughter.
Yes.
Well then, okay, so you're right in my wheelhouse. No personal questions about who she hangs out with, but I'm sure you see a little bit more casualness, gender to gender, about physicality, which I worry about. I'm not talking about sexual physicality. I'm talking about, you know, the shake and bake type of stuff.
Sure.
You ever thought? I mean, you're not an expert on it, but
I'm not.
But
I think, and I don't hang out with my daughter and her friends often to see a lot of it. But
I can't believe that. Right?
For some reason,
16?
she doesn't want me to.
Well, actually, you're one of the dumbest guys on the planet right now. In about 2 or 3 years, it starts to get better. You were the most brilliant guy in the world up until about what, 2 years ago? Now now you're the dumbest guy on the block. And then that will transition again in 2 or 3 years.
She'll come back. Yes,
exactly.
And I'd like to think that I've raised her to certainly stand up for herself and know what's right and wrong. But I agree with you. It's certainly something that's becoming a little more casual and looked past and accepted. And I think society as a whole is just kind of accepting these extremes in many ways, but focusing on violence, that it's almost becoming the norm and nobody thinks it's a big deal anymore.
And I just worry about gender roles a little bit. You know, it's become politically incorrect to be able to say, this is what a man does, this is what a woman does.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And the twain don't always have to meet, nor should they. It's not as easy as it used to be in the old days.
Exactly.
In the old days, there were also some rules that advanced the cause of domestic violence on a silent way.
Mm-hmm.
But we also got to be able to say, you know, guys don't hit girls.
Mm-hmm.
Girls don't, you know, girls need to comport themselves in a certain way. It's just, it's a nightmare conversation.
Exactly.
And when violence occurs, it becomes even worse.
It's
right?
too far. Yeah.
What have you guys learned? You want to say something?
Yeah, you know, it's funny you mentioned what you just did as far as like, you know, playing around and things like that. I was at a luncheon this afternoon celebrating 35 years of the Rhode Island Coalition, and the speaker there was Lisa Leslie, the WNBA star. And the biggest thing that she talked about was about how her mom always said, you don't play around with boys as far as like, you know, hitting them or letting them hit you and things like that. And she always said that's the playground for domestic violence to start. And
Right.
she always said, come on, Mom, you're like overthinking this. And she, you know, and she said, you know, it's something that's true. It's like, you know, it breeds that, you know, it's okay, even if it's goofing around, to like hit each other or push each other and things like that.
Right.
And that turns into serious things that can come, you know, it's like a practice
Yeah,
thing.
no doubt. So
Yeah.
before we get back to what your company is doing here, since you've been involved in this, what have you learned about this dynamic that you didn't know before you got involved in it?
I think it just bringing to light, first, how many people are affected. It's a lot more common than you would think. I don't want to spit out a percentage because I don't have an accurate percentage on me, but it's out there a lot more than you would think. And I think because nobody talks about it, everybody just kind of thinks it's a smaller issue, but it's a much larger issue than I was aware of, certainly, and that I think that society as a whole is aware of. Because I think if everyone understood how big it was, that we'd be doing more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we understand what's in our own neighborhood sometimes, right?
And the big
we're
thing
shocked
is,
about it, right?
Yeah, and the big thing is people always think domestic violence means, you know, physical abuse, you know, and the biggest thing I learned was how many people were getting abused mentally and emotionally, where, you know, their lives are being controlled by their significant other, and yeah, they may not raise a hand on them, but the fact that the emotional and physical, I mean, the emotional and mental abuse that's taking place, that's amazing.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes you can just see it out there in the world, the way he deals with her. There are signs, I think, when you see a relationship that is dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, in the middle of a cocktail party, when a husband is mistreating his wife, you're not going to step up in the middle of it and say, "Hey,
What are you doing?
But it does give you a little bit of a, you know, a window on their world. The tough ground is, what do you do next?
Exactly.
When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about what the company is doing specifically for the victims of domestic violence. And by the way, this is a fast-growing company in an environment in Rhode Island where they say it's real tough to grow a business. Oh yeah? Stay with us. So I'm kind of fascinated by Alliance Security. We'll talk about their growth model here in a moment. I want to remind you about why my guests are here. You know, Jay and Brian are here to talk about what they've done for the cause of domestic violence. And I know you wrote a check to them recently, but you're installing systems for abuse victims. Now, you got to be careful what you ask for or promise, right? I mean, how large is this project, and how many? I hate to use the word victims because
Sure.
but how many people are you helping in this particular project?
It's in its early stages, so the program is still sort of a pilot program. We're still ironing out the kinks and getting the communication lines down. Obviously, the importance of anonymity with it is a part of it, to protect those victims. I think to date, we're a little, I think about 22 homes have been protected through it. and it's starting to gain some momentum. And we're looking to grow the program beyond Rhode Island.
Now, are they being protected in apartments, large residential homes, wherever they happen to be dwelling?
Wherever they
right?
live, yes.
And, you know, 22 is a modest number comparative to the number of folks that you could potentially serve here. Is there a limit? Is there a cap to what you're looking at? And who makes the recommendation as to, and who decides who ought to be helped?
The coalition does. So they have the criteria if they feel someone that will take advantage of it and needs and deserves it, and not that they don't deserve it, everybody deserves it, but they have their criteria that they need to meet.
Which is, because people here are going to be interested in asking about it. So what is the criteria?
Well, it's victims that work with the coalition. And honestly, I think for their safety purposes, that's something they haven't shared with us. You know, we told them we want to protect as many homes as we can, and they said, well, we're going to find the people in our program that
well, you know, that makes
most
sense,
benefit
because
from
it is such a sensitive matter, right? So the organization is delivering to you those who they think would be best served by that, and you're not making any decisions as to who can and can't.
The only decision we make is protecting their homes.
Name, address, and go get the system.
Yes.
Yes.
In perpetuity for how long?
Initially, it's for 1 year, and then we're reevaluating it after that year to see where and how the person is, and if they need it extended for another year, then they get another year.
And hopefully they work themselves out of a situation where they feel like they need that
and
kind
most
of help.
of these people are in transitional housing, so it's, you know, helping them until they get to another location that they're safe in.
All right, so I mean the story here is that Alliance is stepping up to help the domestic violence victims, and I hate to use that word because, you know, they need it, but that's not the only business that you're doing out there. This is some growth plan. I mean, did I see a number that says something like 400% growth in a couple, 3 years with your company?
Yeah.
So you're servicing in 35 states, but you're a homegrown Rhode Island company. You're not a franchise, anything like that, right?
No. Yeah.
What up with that? How'd you pull that off?
Well, we started this business from a spare bedroom of my apartment in 2003.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. It was.
What are you, some techno geek that was falling around with some
well, no,
we
use other products, you know. So we use 2 gig security as a product, which is a great product. But we are the ones who were doing the marketing and the installations and things like that. We started out in Rhode Island as our first market, and since then we've grown in 35 states. We now have 375 employees that work for us, and we just literally 2 weeks ago protected our 100,000th customer.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So when you're sitting in your bedroom trying to fiddle and diddle your way through an entrepreneurial idea, when did that come to you? I mean, what?
The idea was really to, build something that you could be proud of, and more importantly, be in a field that you can wake up every morning and say, hey, I'm making a difference.
Did you have a proclivity to the security business when you were a younger guy? Because you're obviously not an older guy, right?
No. I was actually going to school to be an engineer, and this became a part-time job for me, working for a home security company. And while I was working for the company, I really felt passionate about what I was doing, and it's something that when I was going to work and making a difference, it felt really good. And it was something that, hey, if I'm going to do something that makes a difference, that's where I want to be. Because if you do something that you feel great about, you do it forever. So that's what got me here.
Did you guys start more or less together?
Yes.
Yes.
What's your part of the story? He thought of it and you jumped on board?
He thought of it. He's the visionary. I take his ideas and then I make them actually work.
Well, obviously they're working with 100,000 homes out there. We've only got a couple minutes left. Tell me what it's like to grow a business in Rhode Island when the mantra right now is small business can't grow to medium, large business because we got too much stuff going on. What's the truth in your mind?
The truth in my mind is there's always a positive or a negative. Everyone looks at the negative. We chose to look at the positive. When people said there weren't jobs, we said, let's create some, and that's really what got us to where we were. When people said economy is tough, we said, all right, well, that means there are more great people looking for jobs, so why don't we hire those people and try to grow and see if we can make a difference.
Do you find that, because I think we've got a weird thing going on with our employment dynamic, and that is, it doesn't seem that people in a state of need of work are that aggressive. Do you find that?
I mean, we have a very high level of expectation for what an Alliance employee stands for. Our culture demands it. Our whole company sees it and follows it and has the passion. And we find the people out there that have the heart and the drive that matches ours.
Are they well trained, or you train them?
Oh, we train them.
Yeah.
We bring them in, and really we look at them if they have a great attitude. And we bring them in. So we're going to show you how to make a difference. And we train them. We continue to train them. And they are our company. We celebrate our success together. And anybody in our company feels that they've been a part of that growth, and they enjoy continuing to push.
All right. So are you bullish on the economy? Does it matter in your business?
It doesn't.
No.
To us, it's a business where everyone needs home safety and home protection.
It's kind of like toilet paper.
Exactly.
You sell more actually in a bad economy because people are stressing. You can figure that out at home. But seriously, there are some businesses that are kind of cyclical proof, and yours is one of them, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Our biggest years of growth were the last 3. So.
and slowly we're crawling out of it here in Rhode Island, it seems, we hope. Congratulations on your growth. Thank you for your concern for the community and the domestic violence victims out there. And I guess if you've got a concern where you think you can be helped, contact the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and they'll get in touch with these guys. Congratulations, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Your state of mind when we come back. Stay with us. Great cause from a local company, that Alliance Security. I'd like to hear those good stories. You may have one. If you have an idea, call us. Leave a voicemail at State of Mind, 228-1886. Email us at stateofmind@myrit.com. Tweet or Facebook post on this show or any other thing that's on your mind. Sometimes we get these kinds of calls on the voicemail.
Dan York is wonderful on television at night. He should be a history teacher. We can learn so much for him. In the daytime, I cannot stand his belly laugh of voice. The laughing, it's horrible. Goodbye.
What am I supposed to do about that? Promise to never laugh again? Bye.